Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Restituto. I'm a musician from Northport, New York, and today we have the pleasure of having tea time with Travis here on the channel. I really appreciate you. This is the official first time we've been actually meeting, so I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time, man. We've been on the fam chats together, which is with Kofi and Brad Steele and Dennis King, Patrol Nation, but we've never officially met one on one. So I wanted to take
Yeah.
the opportunity to meet you one on one.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And I know that you have your own channel with Brad. You guys do the um it's called, hold on, I remember, no, it's I'm drawing a blank on the name. Idol Recall.
Yep, yep, yep.
Exactly. It's good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I've been pretty busy, so it's cool to take a step back and just chat with another human that is not myself on the screen, you know?
If there's anybody that relates to that, it is me for sure. 100%. So, can you give a little backstory for people that might not know who you are? Can you give a little backstory?
Yeah, so I grew up in the great state of Michigan. Went to school. Well, I spent about half my life in Florida, half my life in Michigan. So, two very extremes when it comes to
Uh-huh.
weather, that's for sure. Went to school for public relations and advertising. Always worked in, restaurants and bars and that kind of thing. And towards the end of the pandemic that we all are aware of, I decided to start a channel. I was going to go to Turkey to get some cosmetic type surgeries done, my hair and my teeth, and I was initially going to cover that kind of stuff on the channel, basically like lifestyle stuff, not really reactions and stuff like that. So I was big on, I think that there's a stigma about men caring about their appearance or doing those kinds of things, but it's okay for women. So I kind of wanted to be like a person that shows, oh, I'm just an everyday guy and I got this done. And if it's something you're interested in, reach out to me and we can talk about it and I could be there for you and I could be a support system and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of took a back burner because I ended up doing a reaction video randomly
Huh.
to BTS dropped their Butter video, and I was like, you know what? I watch reaction channels. I think that I could do this. This could be fun, and I did it, and it kind of exploded from there, and it's been a taking on a whole new life. I've been able to stop working a traditional job and focus on this full time, which is cool because I like only answering to myself essentially. And yeah, it's just kind of past year's been crazy.
Yeah, and so that's, I think BTS released that in what, May of last year?
Yep.
So that was your first reaction video.
Not, I think I did one or two kind of to get my feet wet. I did like a Katy Perry, like a couple that just didn't really do anything. And then I randomly saw that that was coming out and I was like, oh, let me jump on this. And then, so probably third, I think.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty wild because so in that year to go from nothing much going on to full-time YouTube is pretty remarkable. There's not many people that I personally know that are fellow full-time, I guess you call them content creators.
Mm.
Whatever that may look like, being a musician myself or doing reactions on your channel yourself. There's one other person that I've met so far that's full-time, and that's that singer reactions, Nick.
Yep. Yep.
I
I know
believe
of him.
he's full time as well.
Okay.
Um, and that's probably within the past 3 months or 4 months, which is pretty cool too. That like you get to a certain level, and then it's like, wow, this is my full time job, and it's remarkable.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's been what kind of was the game changer. I just realized that I hear you through my computer speakers and not even my headphones that I have
uh,
in my ears. Pretty dumb. Uh, I I it's really the Patreon thing is what has made me able to do it full time because I started doing the third channel. So I did Tea Time with Travis, Brad, and I have Idle Recall, which is more of just like a passion project. It hasn't really like exploded or anything like that. It's just kind of something that we really enjoy doing. And then I started Travis Views, which is like the TV and movie reactions, because I thought that putting all that stuff on one channel could just muddy it up too much. I think it could be too much different content, you know what I mean? So I started that. That's only been up for two and a half months, I think, almost at 8,000 subscribers. And then the Patreon has taken on a whole new life because of that. The movie and TV stuff. I'm about at 450 this month of monthly, subscribers to Patreon. So
450 members.
yeah.
Wow, cool. Very cool. Uh, Last time we spoke about Patreon was on the fan chat, and I had a raw reaction to your prices, saying that they were so cheap. Did you end up keeping? Because I know you had considered raising them after the fact. Did you end up keeping them the same, or did you raise them at all?
So I've done a couple other different tiers to kind of help boost stuff a little bit, but I like being accessible to the majority. I'm kind of like, if I could get a ton of numbers in there, it would make up for having less people but higher prices. And then it's like, there's 150 videos on there, and there's no way of doing a mass click of, if you add a new tier, you have to go through and re-click every single video for the new tier. So it's kind of like a little bit too much of a headache, really, in my opinion. So it's been pretty good so far. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I might have to revisit that down the line, but it's been, I put up something the other day that was like a number that I did not think anybody would pick. And I was like, I'll watch 10 episodes of your favorite show and put it up within 5 days. And two people did it within like 2 days.
Oh, jeez. It's a lot of episodes, dude.
Yeah, but they're like I mean, one of the shows is 911 Lone Star, and I started it like less than 48 hours ago, and I've watched 6 of them so far. So 6 out of 10. It's not, I mean, the good thing is it's a good show and it's easy to get into. So if it's something that I'm like I'm a little like, oh, or it's hard, because for me, I need something to grab me off the bat. You know what I mean? A movie or something, you can kind of tell, I feel like, if like within the first 30 minutes, I'm like, do, and then it'll like, will get me. But that show started off awesome. So it definitely makes me want to like click the next button.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's wild, man. So tell me what your day typically looks like.
Oh, so usually I have 2 pups. I have Denver German Shepherd. He's 2.5, and I have Buck, a Shar Bloodhound mix rescue. He is 4. So I get up early with those guys, probably about 8 o'clock. That might not be early for some people, but it's early for me. Feed them, let them out, do that kind of thing, have my coffee, get up, go to the gym. I work out I do like the Orange Theory Fitness kind of high intensity interval training type thing. I'm somebody who, weight loss, weight gain, it's always been like up and down for me. At one point I lost 120 pounds in 4 months.
Gosh. Wow.
Yeah, a few years ago. And during the pandemic, some stuff creeped back on, and so now I'm jumping back in. But I usually do that about 5 days a week. And then it kind of depends. I don't really plan stuff out too much when it comes to like, I'm going to set aside this amount of time for viewing and this amount of time for editing. I kind of take it as it comes, because I don't want to force myself to do a reaction, because then I feel like it comes off as like fake. You know what I mean? Everything is very authentic for me and real. So some days I'll spend 8 hours editing a bunch of videos, and some days I'll spend 12 hours watching stuff. But luckily, I could take a 10-minute break, let the dogs out, do whatever. And my folks live 5 doors down, so it's easy
Very cool.
Yeah, see the family and all that kind of stuff when I want to. So my toughest part that I've found is giving myself a day off. Like, I've probably had one full day of not doing any, not doing anything on the computer or filming or editing in the past month or so. And over the next, couple weeks, I'm going to try really hard to make sure I give myself my time as well. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, I totally relate to that, man, for sure. It's a weird balance, because as somebody that's self-employed, the more that you work, the more results you get, and the more money you make, which is nice, but to some degree, at what cost? And sometimes there's a season for everything, right? So You depending on the season you're in. Dude, there were days where I'd film 17 videos in a day, 18, 20 videos in a day.
Wow.
But now the thing is, like, I've at the point like where I don't edit many. The only videos I edit on my channel are really like the vlogs and stuff. Like when I was doing reaction videos, I wouldn't. I got to a point where I didn't edit them at all. It was record, because I record everything through Streamlabs when I'm on my computer. Which is, for people that don't know, is a live streaming platform. But you can also record through it. And I have all of my what they call LUTs, but they're like essentially filters set up. I have everything set up so that like the little lower thirds that roll, like with my social media or the text me number, all that stuff is all programmed into it, so that when I press record, it all starts, and then I have to just stop the recording.
Well, damn, I think I need a lesson from you, I
Oh,
guess.
bro,
Set that
100%.
stuff
I'd be
up.
happy to. I'd be happy to, because it takes so much out of editing. I was literally able to be like, okay, next song, boop, on off. Next song,
That's
on off.
awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you can program it with your computer and everything, so that like you can have different they call scenes. Where like right now, like I have my interview scene pulled up, but then I can press one button. I control it with my iPad. You can control it with your phone, or you can control it with your computer. So a bunch of different options. Press one little button and it takes the camera from split screen me and you to just me. Or if I wanted to have you in the corner, I could press another button and it'd be like full screen me, you in the little corner, like whatever
Oh,
my
wow.
desktop is showing, or anything like that. It's phenomenal. So I'd be happy to.
That's
To share.
awesome.
It's a game changer for sure. Because I used to
Yeah.
film everything, separately record the audio, screen record the screen, and it's just so time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of do the same with the music ones. I use OBS,
Yeah.
but the movies and stuff, I still have to do the separate audio track because I have to drop out some of the audio of the actual film. Like when like if I'm saying something for 10 seconds, I don't want to be talking over a loud action scene or something like that. So I drop it out so that
Oh,
you
but
can hear me.
you'll keep the video playing.
Sometimes I gotta play with it for copyright. You know what I mean? So which, I mean, knock on wood, wherever some is, I have not faced as many, issues blocking or anything like that on that channel as I have for the music stuff. So
Very interesting. Yeah,
we'll
who
see if
knows,
that
man?
continues.
Yeah, have you noticed any uptick in claims or anything like that in
So
the past year?
got two, I got a community strike, and then
Guidelines.
a
Yeah.
cop, yeah, and then a strike on that. So I was kicked off for a week, and then I also have a copyright strike that has fallen off. And the community, actually, today is my day that the community guideline strike falls off. So, which is ironic. So that's been kind of rough. And I've ever since I got that one and got banned for a week, I've been like super careful on like live streams. I dialed back on those. I didn't, I've been sending people over to the other platform, Twitch, and all that stuff, because I didn't want to risk 2 weeks of getting kicked off. So
Yeah.
and then I think we've talked before, in messages or on that fam chat, that like I'm somebody who doesn't really dispute everything. So if it says like not able to monetize or whatever, I just leave it alone just in case, because I don't want it to get kicked back as a, you know what I mean, as a claim. I'm probably wasting stuff that I could get, but it is what it is. I've found other ways to do it, I think.
Sure. Absolutely. So have you noticed, I'm curious, as somebody that's been doing it for a year full time, it's interesting when you make that jump from something that's like your side income to now your full-time income, the interesting pressure that it creates as a creator. Like, it's like, oh, I never really thought about wanting to really like these videos to really, really do well. Now they kind of have to do well, otherwise I don't make money.
Right.
And I've noticed over the past year, like a pretty heavy decline all around, whether it be from income or from views. And I'm curious, I've spoken to a couple people about it, but have you noticed that?
Um, kind of, but not really. A lot of the income that I was getting, so I've only been full time for about 3 months,
Okay.
I would say, because the channel only started in about a year and a half ago. So, yeah, about 3 or 4 months. I was making good income on the live streams before I started thinking about the Patreon and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that has equaled out what the money was from the live streams and the views and all that stuff. So
What were you doing
I
with the live streams? Like live reactions?
yeah, PayPal requests
Mm.
and kind of like if you've ever popped in on one of Kofi's
Mm-hmm.
live streams, same kind of thing, super chats, PayPals, stuff like that. I was doing them, sometimes twice a week, and I've dialed back to like maybe once every 2 weeks or something. Also, there is a ton of music out there, but reaction-y type music is the pentatonic stuff is getting slim, and the BTS and all that stuff. So, um, yeah, I've put my eggs in some different baskets lately. So,
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great way to, they say, like, what is it, the 5 streams of income they talk about, having your eggs in different baskets, all these different, whatever, diversification tools that they talk about.
yeah,
No, that's a good call. That's for sure. So the whole day is essentially just you filming and editing, correct?
yeah, yeah.
So, um, as somebody that relates to that, like, do you live alone?
Just me and the pups.
Yeah. So, um, how do you handle the quote unquote loneliness? Because don't live alone. I live with my wife, but she works a 12-hour shift at a hospital, 3 days a week. So I'm like, the past 2 days I've been like alone all day, every day. You know what I mean? Like all day, me and my pup, right? So, but some days I'm like, shoot, like I gotta get out of the house, man. I'm also a sanguine. Like I love talking to people. Granted, I have 100 of these interviews that I've done, right? Like I love talking to people. Um, how do you handle that?
So I'm more of an introverted extrovert. Like I am perfectly okay with sitting at home and vegging out and being alone. Obviously, you get that itch to want a social life and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like especially when I'm doing the live streams, and I'm very active when it comes to like my comment sections and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm always responding to people. I'm always messaging people on the Patreon. I have mods for my channel that, we chat all day basically on Discord. So I consider those people my friends as well. And I have a very close knit group of friends, not necessarily a group that all knows each other, but I have, a tight circle for myself that I've known for a long time. And I'm lucky. I live 5 doors down from my parents. They have custody of my niece and nephew that are teenagers. So they live on a lake. I can easily
Hmm.
walk down the block there and go out on the boat and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty close with them.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
I live kind of in the middle of nowhere and about, 2 hours away from where I grew up. So it's a little hard to see people that friends and people in my social circle, but it is what it is. Everybody's busy and has kids and stuff, and I don't. So they have different stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. I hear that for sure. Absolutely. So, what are some of the things that you've been getting into, like that you've really been enjoying doing with your channel and your Patreon?
So, well, some of these shows are just that I've never seen before are like amazing that I drop the ball on and I'm like, holy crap. And now I essentially get paid to binge watch them, which is like exciting, like Supernatural. I totally get why people were so obsessed with that and it lasted for 17 years because every time an episode ends, I'm like, I gotta watch the next one. Same with like Lucifer, a bunch of these shows that are just like crazy and so good, and it's helped open my. I thought saw a ton of movies, but then when I started this channel, I was like, wow, the only Marvel movie I've ever seen before doing this was Black Panther. Like I just never saw any of them. You know what I mean? Never saw the Harry Potter movies. Never saw.
Mm.
So it's kind of cool to revisit that stuff and those fandoms that people are so passionate about, and it makes me feel that way too. And kind of with music as well, like the BTS fans and the pentatonic, like starting those pentatonics reactions. Like I am a pentaholic. I have a pentaholic hat. I'm going to see them at the Hollywood Bowl in September. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
sick.
yeah, yeah. One of my viewers and Patreon, like she bought me a ticket and said, just get here. So,
That is
and
so
it's
cool.
like the VIP too. So everybody always tells me I remind them of Scott. So maybe Scott will finally see me and be like, damn, he kind of does remind me of me.
That's crazy, man. So what you get is like the whole meet, like a meet and greet and everything, or
I don't know if they've decided to do that or not yet because of pandemic, I don't know if we're even allowed to say it anymore on you know what I mean, but um that thing going on still. But it's essentially a front rowish seat, and we get to go to sound check, and we get to
oh
do
shoot, that's cool.
yeah, we get to do all this stuff. And I've never been to LA, so I'm going for I think 5 or 6 days, and I'll get to explore and go
Yeah.
enjoy that stuff. So
If I can, if you need any recommendations, I've been to LA a couple of times recently, and I've made a lot of mistakes.
oh really?
It's way bigger than you think it is. Like, or at least I did. I did not realize how massive LA is.
Yeah.
It's like saying it's essentially like. You ever been to New York?
Yeah, I used to live in New York actually for a few
Oh, what
years.
part of New York?
I was in Washington Heights for most of it, New York City.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like it'd be like saying like New York City is LA kind of thing, where it's like you don't realize that not only is it not just Manhattan, but it's also Queens. It's Astoria, Queens. It's Bushwick, Brooklyn. Like
Right.
it's like that's what it is, and it's like oh, I'm just going to New York City, but like not realizing that oh no, it's 60 miles long.
Oh God. Where'd you
So
stay when you went?
well, that's another story. Is I last year I did this trip from it was Nashville to L.A. to Dallas, Texas, and I booked Airbnbs the whole way. I get to Nashville, the Airbnb is phenomenal. It's like nicer than my house. It was so good. I get to L.A. and first off, dude, it's like everything that could go. It's character building, I guess. Because I get to LA and I think it was like a Wednesday night I got there, and I guess I made the mistake where I was staying like say Wednesday to Saturday or something like that, and I had actually booked the last day twice. So I had booked an Airbnb and then which was farther from the airport, and then a hotel. So I meant to book it for the
Oh.
Airbnb for the first everything, and then the last day was supposed to be in a hotel, which was right by LAX. But I had
Oh.
booked it one day too late, so it was essentially like the Airbnb and then the hotel were all cross-linked on that last day. So I didn't have anywhere to stay
Oh.
on that first night. I got to
Oh.
LAX.
Oh.
I got to LAX at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had nowhere to stay. And it's a little sketchy around LAX. And I'm like, what am I going to
No.
do? You know what I mean? So I finally found the hotel, which ended up being a blessing in the story. Dude, it's like God was looking out because stayed in a hotel because I had nowhere to stay. I went to 4 different hotels. Like, they were all booked. So I finally found one. It was Labor Day weekend, I believe. So, like, everybody, it was just booked everywhere. Finally
Oh
found
my
one,
God.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which is really like for New York, like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like I was exhausted, so I finally find a place, and then the next day I go around like 6 or 7 o'clock at night to my Airbnb, which happens to be in East LA, which I did not realize you don't want to go to East LA, uh, unless you're from
Oh
there.
yeah,
It's a
I've
little
heard.
bit it can be dangerous, and my
Uh-oh.
Airbnb was rather dangerous. Like, dude, I did not feel.
You still stuck out? You
Well,
stuck it
I
out
stayed
or
one
you
night. I stayed one night, and I felt very unsafe.
Yeah.
And I walk out of my Airbnb at 6 o'clock the next morning, and there's a unleashed Rottweiler just looking at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of here. So I went. So again, like I said, God looking out was I went back to the hotel that I found, unintentionally that first night. But
Uh
like I had to eat the money. Airbnb refunded me like $100, but like it was like a $300 or $400,
oh
Airbnb stay.
no.
But I was like, I can't. I'd rather eat the $300 than like die. So
Yeah, oh yeah. Dang. Dang,
it's
dang.
crazy,
Luckily,
man.
I think the hotel I got is in not far from the Hollywood, kind of by the Hollywood Walk of Fame and
Yeah,
the
yeah, okay,
Hollywood Bowl and all that kind of stuff. So I
yeah, yeah,
think it'll be decent.
yeah.
I
There are
mean,
some.
I'm sure I'm going to spend a
I,
ton of money on Uber and all that stuff.
oh my
So
gosh, yeah, for sure. But it can be a very, very beautiful city. Like there are some really, really cool spots. Like you have to go to Venice Beach, you have to go to Santa Monica. Like there's a fish taco place on Venice Beach that you have to
ooh.
totally go. Dude, best fish tacos. I'll send you the photo of it. Every time I'm back there, I go every time because it's so good.
Yeah, I
So
want
good.
some.
Like it's this little shack too, and they're so good, man. I was just there 2 weeks ago, and
Oh,
it was
sweet.
phenomenal. Yeah, it's
That's
good stuff,
awesome.
man. I have all the tips for you because I made some plenty of mistake.
Yes, let me know, please.
That's sick though. That's gonna be really cool to see them like front row like that, see pentatonics like that. That's really cool. Good
I
for you,
know,
man.
I'm excited.
So when is that in September?
The 29th, I believe. 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that. It's 29th, I think.
Very cool.
Um, yeah, I'm super. I hope they drop something newer. So I have this vibe. You would think that that's like a huge show. So I'm hoping they come out with something new. I think they've been working on some stuff. So I did see them last December for their holiday show. It was a terrible venue. So like the sound was horrendous. I
Really? In what
was
sense though?
yeah, it was just like there was no they didn't tap into any of the like venue sound system. It was all just like the speakers on their stage, and the acoustics was not, they just were not good. And it sounded kind of tinny, you know what I mean? Like everything just sounded kind of thin, and the crowd was whack. Like I've never been to a concert where everybody was just sitting the entire time and like barely clapping, and everybody kept telling me, oh, it's because it's Christmas, the holiday shows are different and blah blah blah. But I was like, I was up in the, like, I didn't pay a lot of money for those seats, and I was up towards the nosebleeds, and I'm standing there dancing like I don't care, I'm singing fa la 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 la. Like we're not gonna, I'm not, this is crazy, y'all are nuts, why are you just sitting there? Obviously
Yeah.
sit during, you know hallelujah, I guess, if you don't want to be up. But these like jams, like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with y'all? And then everybody's just like,
Like a golf tournament.
yeah, like barely clapping. I'm screaming like, I love you, Kirsten.
Ah! That's wild, man. So have they played the Hollywood Bowl before, or is the announcement okay? Because
I
I
think they
saw some
have.
announcement from them, and I wasn't sure if it was like from a previous time that they played, or if it was for this one that they're
Yeah,
upcoming
I
to play.
think I think I remember seeing like a returning to the Hollywood Bowl type thing. So um I'm interested to see how it'll go because I've never been. I mean, that's a big venue. So
What I think it's like 17,000 people or something like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Which is a lot of
So
people.
yeah, and I think the one I saw them in was like a 8,000
Which is still a decent
person.
venue.
Oh, for sure, for
I
sure,
think
for sure.
Madison Square Garden's only like 12,000 people. I think
Mm,
so. That's a pretty 8,000 is definitely a decent sized venue. Red
yeah,
Rocks is
and it
only
was
ten
sold
thousand
out for
people.
sure. Mm.
So
I'm used to like, I mean, I'm a Detroit Lions season ticket holder, and I, going into the football arenas, and then all the
yeah,
time, and you see like other venues, you're like, oh my God, this is like so
60,000
teeny, but
people. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. That's why. Are you? Did you grow up a Lions fan?
Yeah, because I grew up, I mean, we lived in Michigan till I was like 5. Then we moved to Florida, for 8 years or something. I've lived all over the place as an adult: Atlanta, New York. I moved to Oregon for a year. I lived in Florida twice. I've kind of bounced all over the place. It's the beauty of being a single person with no kids. Can do whatever I want essentially. But yeah, always been a Lions fan ever since I was younger. Because I was a kid during the Barry years, so it kind of was like, if you're from here, you gotta be, a Lions fan if you were around during that time because Barry Sanders is the GOAT.
Yeah.
So,
But they
um,
sucked for a long time, didn't they? They were like the
bro,
worst team in the league for a while, weren't they?
oh my gosh, yes. And then ship Matthew Stafford over to the Rams and he wins the Super Bowl. Jeez, but it's
Hey, I
okay.
hear
I
you. Growing up a
I think
Jets
we're on
fan,
our way.
I can't say much as a Jets fan.
Are you still a Jet? You're
Oh
still a
yeah,
Jets
yeah,
fan?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
season ticket holder like you are, but like, I grew up a Jets. I remember like being 5 years old watching Jets games with my grandfather. So, like, I'm a Jets fan, but they've sucked for a long time. They
Yeah,
used to be
yeah,
good when I was
yeah.
a kid. They were very good when I was a kid. They made it to like the championships, like the AFC championships and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
they've sucked for the past 15 years.
I was talking to my stepdad the other, and he put it in perspective. I was like, oh, like it would be so cool if the Lions won a playoff game because they've only won one since I've been born. And he was like, they've only won one since I've been born. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that puts it in perspective. Like, and he's 60. They've won one playoff game in 60 years.
Oh shoot, that's crazy. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the Jets are a little bit better than that, but
But I think it's
not by much.
important to be like a fan of where you're from. You meet
Oh
people and they're
yeah,
like, I meet people that live here and they're Green Bay Packers fans because it's easier to be a Green Bay Packers fan. And I'm like, I don't, man, I feel like that's kind of lame. Like,
100%.
you're a Patriots fan, what for what reason? What tie do you have to that? I get people who like are Brady fans because he went to Michigan, so that kind of makes sense if you're a Michigan fan. But I don't know. I don't. It's just weird to me when you're like, I think I'm gonna like the Seahawks, even though I have absolutely nothing to do with Seattle.
Yeah. Ah, shoot, I totally hear that. That's sick though that you have the season tickets though. That's pretty cool. So every home game you're at,
Yep, yep.
even
For
when
the
it's
past
negative
couple of years.
26 degrees.
Well, we're a dome, so it doesn't matter for us. We it's nice and toasty in there in the winter time. But I have been to Lambeau during like a snowstorm,
That's the
and
Packers
that
stadium, right?
so much fun. Like, don't tell them I said that, but it was a blast.
How
I
far
could
is
see
that from you?
why Green Bay. It's crazy because here's Michigan and Wisconsin's the next state, but we have a giant lake between us, so you got to go down and around or through the Upper Peninsula in Canada and blah 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 blah.
There's
So
no bridge.
no, no, you could take a ferry, like you could drive and they could put your car on a ferry, but um takes a long time, I guess, and only a certain amount of hours and blah blah, that it runs. So I've yet to make a drive there, but I've flown there a couple times because I have a good high school friend that lives there now. So um which
How
she
how far
lives.
how
Was it?
far of a drive is that?
It's probably 7, 8 hours
That's a
to
that's
go
a
up,
commitment. That's a commitment.
go around. Yeah, in 8 hours I could go to New York. Like, why would I
Is that right? Is
hop
that
on?
how long it takes to get to you?
Yeah, I think I'm double checking on my phone here.
Yeah, because I guess you got to go all the way down and then all the way back up.
Yeah. Well,
Do
10
you
hours for New York City, but
do you miss New York
that's
at
still
all?
not that. I lived there in my early 20s and I loved it, but I don't think I could do it now with how I am. Like, I just like starting my own car and driving it, and having a vehicle there was not an option for me. And I don't know. I feel like when you live there, everything's like a product. Like, if you need to, I was somebody who would like drop my laundry off because I didn't want to sit in a laundromat all day. You know what I mean? And do it. And it's like, if you need to do laundry and you don't drop it off, you are literally sitting in the laundry. You have to set aside 6 hours to sit in the laundromat, and you have to leave an hour early, which you do to drive to get to work. But you have some control over getting there. You're putting everything in someone else's hand to take the subway and all that kind of stuff. So there's things that I miss about it, but I don't think I could ever live there again.
Mm-hmm. I totally know what you mean for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, even getting groceries can be like I don't live in the city, but I lived there for a year, and even getting groceries is a production. With no car, I mean, I when I did live there, I did have a car actually. It was when I was in college, and there was parking on campus,
Uh,
so I had a car, and I was able to go. It was still a production though. It takes 60. You travel. It takes 15 minutes to go a mile in a car. You can walk faster than you can drive in the city.
yeah. And then you got in the grocery store those teeny tiny little aisles that everybody, you know what I mean? It's not for me.
I
I see
hear you.
myself like ending up on the West Coast, maybe like a Colorado or a Montana, like, I don't know, Arizona, something like that
Hmm.
in the long run, or California even, but maybe the north. I'm not a big hot weather fan
Mm-hmm.
myself. So we'll see
I
where
hear you,
life
man.
takes us.
I hear you. What's on the agenda for the rest of, like, what do you have coming up for you, work wise?
uh just I'm gonna knock out some stuff. I have some movies that I need to get done before the end of the month for some of my Patreon people. I have some editing I need to do, but pretty chill. I don't really, I mean, I'm kind of like organized chaos in a sense, you know, like I have my stuff written down like a
Wow, what are we
doctor.
looking at
And
with that? What is that?
this is essentially like these are
Oh,
all
you
TV
got to move it
shows.
a little more this way. There you go.
These are all
Okay.
TV
Oh yeah,
shows.
yeah.
And then
Okay.
I post like, or I write the last time I posted the show on Patreon so that I know, like, oh, you know, it's been 4 days since a Supernatural's been up. It looks like it's due for one of those or that kind of thing. So,
How many TV shows are you doing at the moment?
um, 12.
Yeah. Is there ever a time where you're like, oh, I really don't feel like watching TV?
Um,
Because to some
there's a
degree, I could kind of like sometimes they're like, okay, I don't want to film a video, but like, I don't know if I'd ever really say like I don't really want to watch TV at the moment. You know what I mean? I'm curious though.
there's
For somebody that doesn't
I
do it, so
the thing that I'm like, damn, like I'll be like, damn, I wish that I could like set it up a way to like be one of those people who do it on the sofa where it's like more
yes,
comfortable
a
and like
100%.
this is very cumbersome for me sometimes. Like it's
Yes.
like the lighting is harsh. My eyes, I've had to like buy these blue light glasses to wear sometimes
Yeah, I have a
because
pair
like
right here.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard on the light right here and like bright on my face and I wish that I could be a little more comfy, but I am somebody who the minute I like sit, I can't sit on a couch. I lay on the couch because I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". So I like sprawl out, you know what I mean? And I usually, if I'm on the couch, fall asleep within like 10 minutes. So even if I'm watching and filming, I'd probably be knocked out. So it's probably good that I'm like
Hey, it makes
forced
for
to
a good
sit up
video though,
straight.
you know.
All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't know if
Oh,
the
that's
people
funny.
that paid for that one would be
Well, yeah, that's fair.
happy
That's fair. So, how
happy
much
about
of
that.
that gets onto YouTube versus stays on Patreon?
It depends. I have a couple like Patreon exclusives. I kind of base the stuff on the views that I see from other people, or I might start like I might post one episode or two episodes and see what the response is like and see if it's worth my time to, you know, a 45-minute episode of a show probably takes me. I've gotten it down to more of a, you know, quick little science to me, you know, hour, probably 2 hours to edit one of those shows. But I'm like a perfect like I probably could take less time. You know what I mean? Um, but it kind of depends. If a show like I was doing Stranger Things, I was not hitting the mark that a lot of people were getting for their numbers on Stranger Things. I don't know, the algorithm just didn't like me when it came to that. So I made that like a Patreon exclusive. There's a couple episodes for
Mm.
people to see on YouTube, but if you want to see more and the full thing, you got to head on over to the Patreon. So there's a couple that are like that. But for the most part, you know, there's like 10 shows or something that I kind of cycle through and I try to do, you know, once a week or something. And um, there's some pretty big view getters like Supernatural's big. Lucifer, that show is huge right now on the channel. And Glee is a pretty safe bet if I want the numbers to be there. So um,
What's
it
something
kind
that
of
you
depends.
really enjoy doing that doesn't get a ton of numbers?
Um, I would Stranger Things would be one of them. I do feel like that show has some like quite a bit of slow parts to it though that are a
Mm.
little bit of a struggle to get through sometimes. But also The Boys, the numbers hasn't haven't been that great for that show either, but I don't know if you've watched it. That show is like crazy. Like there are moments in that show where I'm like, "Whoa." You know, like I could not believe that happened and they showed that and they were able to. Um
Re-
but
I don't know anything about. I haven't even heard of that show. So
Oh my gosh, it's on Amazon. You should watch the first episode. See if it gets you like it got me, and you might like it. And that's a good one because there's only 3 or 4 seasons at this point, and they're only 8 episode seasons, so it's quick to kind of
What is
get
it
through.
about?
It's superheroes basically, but they're not the traditional
Hmm.
superhero. I'll just say that.
Actually, I do. I think I've seen the previews for it. Now that you, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, I had to carry on with that. But I don't remember what I was gonna say. I don't recall what I was gonna say regarding that. But, so do you? Man, I totally had a brain fart. I had a specific question that I was gonna talk about. I don't know what I was gonna say. How much have you found that you were gonna like you're able to show on YouTube versus not? Do you have to blur anything out?
I don't blur for the movies and TV, but I'll drop the video out and put up like my little Patreon blurb, like hit me up on Patreon to watch the full unedited, uncut thing.
Cool.
I mean, it is quite a bit that gets taken. Like I just had a Guardians of the Galaxy premiere right before we got on, and that's a 2 hour long movie, and the video that I made was 40 minutes. So it kind of depends. Like a 45-minute show that usually gets cut down to about 15 minutes.
Mm,
Um, you try to hit the big parts, but you also want to leave a reason for people to go seek out,
sure.
the full thing. So
Yeah. Have you done Yellowstone yet?
I have not.
It's so somebody on my Patreon, like I have a tier where you could like request whatever you want, kind of thing, and it's typically music. But this person had been a Patreon member for over a year,
Oh,
and one
wow,
of the
that's
higher
awesome.
tiers. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on like checking out the show?" She's like, because I had met her in person. She actually got me home free tickets. She got me home free
Oh,
tickets. It was, same concept with you and Pentatonics. She was like, if you can get here, the ticket's yours.
that's
So
awesome.
I went to the concert in Dallas, and so I met her and we were talking with the show, and like 3 months later she's like, I know we had mentioned it, I'd love for you, I just want you to check it out. So like almost she's like, could I use my thing to make you watch the show? And I was like, why not, whatever. And I was like,
That's
yo, this
funny.
show is actually crazy. So
Did you
I
watch the
can't.
whole thing? You
No,
watched it all, or?
no, I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in too, so I'm not
Oh,
even like
okay.
far, and I'm like, yo, this show is wild, but very realistic too. I don't know, who knows? It's crazy.
Are you filming them for reactions, or you're just watching it?
These ones I am, yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I would probably watch it on my own. It was a very. I tried watching it. I don't know what happened because I tried. She had recommended it. I went to the show in December, so that's when she'd recommended it. I was sick. It could be because I was sick with the pandemic sickness.
Yeah.
The reason for people that are watching, YouTube doesn't like when you say it, that word, and it screws with the monetization of the channel. But oh, I lost my train of thought. They were so I tried watching when I was sick. I just couldn't get into it, and then she had requested me like 5 months later, so like in like May, and I checked it out, and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. I don't know why I didn't like it. I was just probably out of it with the fever or something like that. But
That's
craziness, man.
funny.
Yeah.
Is it one that grabs you though? Like, is that first episode good enough to where like you're immediately pulled in, or is it like a
Well, it
slower?
wasn't when I watched it the first time, but the second time it definitely was. So I
Yeah.
don't know what happened between the 5 months, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
because I'd be interested. Like, Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watched that. The first episode was kind of boring, and then it like within that last 5 minutes, that's what
Yeah.
makes you want to go on to. But you got to make it through that first. Because there's some big shows that in the past I tried to watch, like Breaking Bad, didn't really hit with me, or like Sons of Anarchy didn't really hit with me, and a lot of people, those are like beloved shows, but yeah, I need to be like hit in the face with action, or with
Yeah.
something crazy. So, but I hear that show is good, so maybe I'll have to give it a shot. See
This
if
so
somebody
it's crazy, man. I can't recommend the show to you because you already got enough on your plate, dude. So I'm not even gonna say you should check it out. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I have enjoyed what I've seen. It's a little dark, so like there's only so much I could watch like
Oh,
at
I
a
like
time.
dark.
But like it's heavy and it's like
Oh,
I don't know. I just after like 2 episodes, you're like, yo, like I need to go outside and just like look at the sky for a second because it's like
yeah,
you know a little
yeah.
depressing, I guess. But Who knows, man? Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot going on, so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your really busy day to
Yeah,
chat,
thanks for
dude.
having me.
100%,
Appreciate you.
man. So if you could hang out for 30 more seconds, I want to say a big thank you to and shout out to everybody that's watched this till the end. You guys are the real ones. I appreciate you for real. So whether it
Yes,
be on
yes.
Spotify or YouTube, however you listen to this or watch this, I appreciate you. If you want to check out Travis's stuff, all of his links, including his Patreon link, will be in the description below, so you can check that out. Go check out his
Thanks,
YouTube and
man.
subscribe. And if the best way to support my channel and his channel is subscribing, and the best way to support my channel is checking out my own original music. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless and peace out.
See y'all.